What's going on, fishy friends? It is Thursday night, and that means it is fishing report night with the Fishing Channel. We have three exciting fishing reports coming your way tonight. Starting out here with Jamie Thrappas, a local of this area who's moved down, is actually not moved, been down in Central Florida East for quite a while. But he's going to do a fishing report of his region. And then we're going to do a South Carolina fishing report with kayak guy Chris Tweedy, and then we're going to end the night with Tom Weaver, with Fish with Weaver, who's just a wealth of knowledge. So we're really excited for this night. Lots of fishing content coming your way. Lots of knowledge and information to get you on that bite for the for what's happening in your area, what's the fish that are biting, and all the action. But I'm going to go ahead and bring in Captain Jamie. What's up, my man?
Not too much, bud. How you doing? How y'all doing this evening?
Doing really well, man. It's like Grand Central Station here, but I think we're almost as busy as you. You've had your hands full, man. What's been going on?
Just fishing every day. Coming to the end of our season. Ironically, here in Central Florida, our season is kind of similar to yours up north. It starts February around the races. I'm in Daytona, so we start second week of February. Then we got spring break. Then we get our summer crowd. So February, second week of February, second week of August. It's nonstop every day.
Well, what you been catching recently?
So this time of the year, we're still catching quite a bit of flounder, but there's a ton of mangrove snapper that are around structure and the jetty rocks and whatnot. So, still got a lot of families finishing up their summer vacation. So it's good action for the kids and one of my favorite fish to eat. So I've been mostly targeting mangrove snapper, and then we've been getting flounder mixed in and the occasional permit. Actually, this time of the year, late summer, we get some permit that come up from down south. So
yeah, we can look at some of those pics now that you share with me. Those are some man-sized flounder you got.
Yeah, that was a big boy. That's one of the designers for Costa Del Mar sunglasses right there. I had taken,
oh wow!
I had the pleasure of taking him and one of the vice presidents out down here for ICAST, and they wanted to get on some fish and try out some sunglasses. So that was the catch. That
always works well when you have the big wigs on the boat and you catch a nice size doormat.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. That was a good fish.
And then you got a couple of good sized permit here.
Yeah, these ones are smaller than permit get pretty big. They call them the $3,000 fish. Those guys down in the Keys, because the average person will spend about $3,000 to try and target one between airfare, guide, everything else. But these are just mixed in with these mangroves that we're targeting, and I mean, I know immediately when somebody hooks one because it just starts screaming, and they don't like to give up. They're pretty hard fighting fish. But same with the mangrove snapper. These fish are anywhere from 10, 12, 15, 17 inches is a big one. But yeah, when they hit hard. And for a small fish, they're super hard fighting. I don't know. I moved down here. I kind of consider them the white perch of the area. So, they're plentiful and again, good to eat and hard fighting.
Yeah, it still is that way. I don't, we had a year up here where, people talked a little bit about a crab shortage. And you're probably pretty aware of the challenges that we face around the striped bass fishery. But you don't ever hear anybody talking about, where are all the white perch? There's always plenty of those. So let's talk about the mangrove snapper and and the flounder, and because it sounds like the flounder and the permit kind of get mixed in while using the same technique. So what techniques are you using for these fish? What are the trends that you're targeting them in? What is the what kind of structure, stuff like that?
Sure. So I mean, snapper are everywhere. Any type of structure are going to be on it. They kind of seem to be schooled together of similar size. So if you start catching small fish, I usually move on. But technique is a fish finder rig, which is a very common rig that we use. They call them Carolina rigs up north. Just
Yeah.
a slide egg weight to swivel, a couple feet of leader, circle hook. Also, you can get use a jig head like a 1/4 ounce or 3/8 ounce. Just depends on how deep it is and how much current there is, and just put a live shrimp on there. Some guys bite the heads off of the shrimp or bust the tail off. I just use a whole shrimp. The biggest thing is not trying to rip their head off like you're bass fishing. You just gotta kind of that second or third tap, just lift up on them and start reeling. And once you got them on, just don't horse them in because you'll rip a hole and they'll pop off. But yeah, man, just find that structure. They're kind of hard to mark. It almost looks like bait if you're actually trying to mark them. But they'll hold so tight the structure you can't really see them. But again, you just put your bait down there, and if you get one and it's a decent size, there's probably more about that size in the area.
Yeah, I've seen them before, kind of just like sitting underneath the mangroves. If you have, a good pair of sunglasses on, a lot of times you can see them.
Yeah.
But you're right. You don't usually see them with the naked eye.
Yeah, no doubt. And then the flounder, same thing as we talked before. Fish finder rig, just a little bit outside of the structure. Mud minnows are my go-to bait for them. And then if you can't get a mud minnow, we'll use shrimp. Shrimp are definitely a good bet.
And all these fish are really good fish to bring kids with.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, absolutely. Like, they're fun to catch. They're hard fighting for their size, and you're just going to get a lot of bites. So, I mean, anything, you got a 12-year-old kid out there. If he's not catching fish, his attention span's kind of short. So you got to keep them busy, keep them getting bites. I mean, today we weren't even fishing for 5 minutes, and they weren't biting yet. And the little kid's like, "We should try a different spot." Give it a minute, guy.
You're like, buddy, get a job so you can pay for this gas, right?
Yeah, right. But yeah, no, the snapper fishing's been really good, flounder fishing, and then really I'm starting to gear towards getting ready for our snook season. Starts in a couple weeks, September 1st, and that's my favorite fish to target. So that's kind of what we're all scouting out our spots. We've been catching a decent amount of them. I try not to pressure them too hard, only because I don't want them to shut down when the season opens up. But
Yeah.
But snook definitely are about to start biting.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. So, I mean, is it legal to catch and release snook right now?
Oh yeah, you can catch and release them. I mean, you can't control if one hits it, and it's not
Right.
like it's not like they're in the same spots of every other fish that we're targeting. So you just again you kind of figure out where they're at. Sorry, I got my dog in here. She's starting to bark. There's a deer outside the window. There's a deer outside the window. So, but yeah, no, you won't get in trouble if you catch one out of season. You just can't keep them.
Right.
Yeah.
If you were to catch multiple snook in a row, which I don't think is all that common down there, could a DNR give you a hard time if you don't move? I mean, should you move after you catch one or what?
No, not really. I mean, again, you can't get in trouble for targeting them out of season. There's tons of guys that, I mean, that's what they do. They fish for snook.
Right.
Most of these guys will fish all night for them because the snook bite's usually the best at night. Either outgoing tide during the day or at night they'll feed both tides. But yeah,
We
all year
certainly
round.
noticed that, man. Fishing those dock lights down there,
Yeah.
for snook is, it can be like shooting fish in a barrel.
I mean, that's nighttime snook fishing is my favorite. Unfortunately, I don't get to do it much anymore with as much as I fish during the day. The last thing I want to do is go back out at night. You got to sleep at some point. But now that I'm slowing down, the season's coming to an end. The fiance has asked specifically for me to take her out, nighttime snook fishing. So I'll be getting on some of that, and that's super exciting. It's kind of, I don't even know how to explain it. It's not really eerie, but it's like you can see them in the shadow. And you're like, I know that's a monster. And just when you finally get them to hit it, there's no other feeling. So,
yeah, it's so funny. We got into a science. We've done it now twice. Once in Jupiter, and then once in Matlacha, which is down close to Cape Coral.
yeah.
But yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. It's eerie because sometimes that water will be gin clear, and you can just see them sitting right there. and other times it's a little bit murky. And you just see something really big pass in front of that light.
Yeah.
What's your favorite rig for night fishing snook?
I mean, live bait is my go-to, but if I can't get them to hit live bait, I'll actually use them. We call them Snook Jigs. They're bucktails. Um, some kids or some captains they'll prefer like a bright color or white. Lately, I've been finding like purples with a red tail or a red with a purple tail. Seems that it's dark enough that they can't really see what it is, but just enough color that I think like makes them, they hit it out of curiosity more than knowing what it is. And they've become more and more popular. But you can use big swim baits for them if they won't hit the live bait. Really, the number one bait that I prefer to use is croakers. We use just small, hand-sized croakers, not too big, enough that they can swallow it in one hit. We call them croquane. It's that fish is making noise. He's flustered, and you put it in front of that snook enough times, he's going to eat it eventually.
Yeah, I think the most effective rig for us, and I don't tell me if you've heard of it, was it's called a skimmer jig. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's
No,
like a
describe it.
okay, so the place where you tie it is right here, and it's a really flat-headed jig. So flat this way,
Okay.
and then it's just got a bucktail and it's a smallish hook. It's probably a number 3, number 4,
Okay.
and it weighs nothing. It's like a 1/16 ounce jig,
Okay.
and you hook a shrimp through the tail, and that bucktail on the back of it basically makes it look like a shrimp could be going either way, and it doesn't weigh much, but it's just enough to kind of hold the shrimp down in the water column, and you
Okay.
just sort of tap it, jigging
And
it.
where was that you were doing that at?
Both places. That was Jupiter and the other side of the state.
So it's interesting because I've never seen anybody use that in our area. But we go to fishing shows, seminars, and listen to captains talk about whether it's redfish or snook or flounder. Uh, we all have different techniques, and I'll listen to what somebody's saying on how they catch them in their neck of the woods, and I'll be like, that won't work where we're at, and then I'll speak, and they'll be like, that won't work where we're at. It's the same fish, but they adapt differently to their area and how they feed. I'm not saying that
Yeah,
wouldn't work in our area. I've just never tried it. Maybe it's a secret that I need to try.
I can't take credit for it. It was a YouTuber, Lawson Lindsay. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah, I've heard that name before for sure.
Yeah, he used it. It's that, and he'll use like a slammer jig, is what he calls it. You
Uh-huh.
know, what's that?
I've heard of the slammer jig. Yep.
Yeah, and they both have a little bit of a different presentation. The bucktail on the skimmer jig causes it to just float a little slower. But I don't know. It's kind of fun because to me, just throwing a shrimp in the water or throwing a croaker, and I call it baiting and waiting. It's kind of boring. So having that skimmer jig and that shrimp, it sort of allows you to actively fish a little bit.
Sure. And I mean, usually we're not just throwing it out and sitting there waiting. You if you're night fishing, you'll have that pan of light, and you cast up of the shadow line, let it
Right.
drift through the shadow line. You'll get a lot of trout hits as you're going through the light, and 9 times out of 10, that snook's going to hit it once it gets back into the dark. And if you just let it go a little bit farther than you think it needs to go, that's when the bigger ones will hit. And also, as close as you can get to the poles, because the big ones like to hide inside that structure. But
They sure do.
you
The,
gotta
the
have your
snook do
drag.
not like to hit it in the light.
Oh yeah, and you gotta have your drag locked down if you just in case you get one comes out from under the dock. Because I swear to you, they know exactly what to do when you get a big one on. They'll go right back into that dock. They don't hardly ever do they swim away from the structure. They go right for it.
They didn't
So
get big for no reason, right?
that's right.
Well, Captain Jamie, last time you and I talked, or maybe it was you talking to Lady C, you talked a lot about tarpon behind boats.
Correct.
Is that still happening?
Unfortunately, no. So I don't know the exact date that the shrimp boats are. They can come within 1 mile of the beach at a certain period of the summer. I want to say it's like around the 1st of July.
Uh-huh.
They move pretty far north of the Daytona area. They're going to go where the shrimp are at. So sometimes we'll have a dozen boats dragging nets out front. This year we had 2 or 3, and they were just jam packed with charter captains, recreational guys behind them. Made the bite pretty tough because you got boats zigzagging, trying to throw on a tarpon, etc. But they move pretty far north, so it's, obviously with fuel prices and fishing time, a lot of customers elected to not go do that towards the end of the summer.
So
So
are the tarpon still there, or do
they're
they
still
follow the shrimp up?
no, they're still here. Our fall mullet run's about to start any time now. Um, they're kind of fickle right now as far as getting them to eat, but once that mullet run starts, especially in the beginning of the mullet run when they come through thick, they'll start chewing again really good.
Cool. So if you were to, I guess it's just a little bit more of a challenge right now without those shrimp boats there. But if you were to, you know, uh, have to catch a tarpon right now, what would you do?
I'd go get mullet because that's what they're waiting on.
Yeah.
We have resident mullet that are here all year round, but once we get the big migration from north to south in the fall, and then in the spring we get a run from south to north. But yeah, I'd go catch the biggest, not arm, forearm size, but 10, 12-inch mullet. Just mark them on your side scan or wherever, your bottom finder, and trying to figure out where they're at in the water column. Use the, big long leader, minimum 40 pound, and then just pinch the weight on there and drop it down. You want to tie line to line. The less amount of the least amount of things that they can see is your best bet right now. But it's kind of frustrating because they'll be rolling all around us.
I was
Um,
about to ask, when you're mangrove fishing and permit fishing, are you seeing them roll around you?
yeah, so I'll usually throw like a dead stick rod out the back with a quarter ounce or 3/8 ounce split shot on it, and just kind of let it sit out in the current behind us, and they'll always catch us off guard. All of a sudden, you hear zzz, 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 and turn around. By the time you grab the rod, he done jumped 3 times and got off. But we landed
Better
a
make
pretty.
sure you got that thing in a good rod holder, right?
Yeah, I've lost a couple rods this year.
Yeah,
uh,
just put it on the ugly stick and just.
yeah, we actually it was 0% chance of rain, and it was pouring rain for about an hour and a half. Nothing on the radar, and we hooked a pretty big one like that. The people just decided to fish through the rain, and I handed the rod to the boy. When I say boy, he was probably in his mid late 20s, and he grabbed by both hands underneath of the butt of the rod, and I had to drag pretty tight, and it took off, and it just went whoop, right out of his hands,
The
and
rod did?
everything. And I mean, his hands were soaking wet. It was pouring
Oh,
rain,
okay.
so but it happens. So there's a fish swimming around with a $500 combo hooked to him somewhere right now.
Ugh, yikes. I've always wondered, and I hope this kid isn't watching, um, but I've always wondered, from charter captain to charter captain, like, you lose a $500 rig, I mean, your profit for that day is gone.
Yeah, I didn't make any money that day. If they
Yeah,
do something stupid and I'm telling them hold the rod and they drop it overboard, we have to have a discussion. If it's a honest mistake like that in the heat of the moment, and
sure.
he just dropped the rod he was fishing with, I handed him the rod, and before I could tell him what to do, it happened so quick. So
I mean, it could have happened to you or me. I mean, it's just
yeah,
like your hands are soaking wet. What are you going to do?
yeah.
Let's talk about a couple things before we go. Let's see what time we're working at. We've got a couple minutes. One, yellow dog fishing, like tackle store. What is it called again?
Yellow dog bait and tackle.
Yeah, how's that going?
It's going pretty good, man. Getting busier every day. Obviously, school's about to start, so we're gonna hit a little slow spurt right now.
Sure.
We're in a big we're actually in a county park with a state park on the opposite side of the street. They're redoing our boat ramp right behind. It's 50 yards in front of my store, in front of my front door. So I'm hoping that'll be open in about a week, and
Nice.
that'll be tremendous for us.
So, what do
But
you
other
guys have right now in terms of bait for people?
So we're a small shop, man. It's only about 400 square feet, so I'm kind of limited on what I can carry as far as live bait. Once the summer's over, I'm gonna remodel so I can add an extra tank. But we carry just regular shrimp and jumbo, or we call them select live shrimp, larger shrimp. We'll probably add croakers and mud minnows for going into next year, and then
Nice.
we have all the frozen bait that you need: frozen mullet, frozen sand fleas, frozen shrimp, squid, just about anything you need to go surf fishing or fish in the river.
What time do people need to get to the shop at a certain time of day to get shrimp? I know that's kind of an issue at a lot of places in Florida. You want to make sure that you get to the bait shop early enough to get your shrimp.
Yeah, it can be frustrating, especially in the summertime, because the shrimp. We get most of our shrimp from the west coast of Florida. They get caught overnight, then they truck them across the state, and then they have their runs and deliver them to all the shops. So the shops will run out of bait a lot of times. They get enough. You can't put too much in there because it'll die. So you have to try and kind of calculate what you're going to use for the day and make your order for the next day. And traffic, the boat could break down, anything can happen. A pump dies on the truck on the way over, and they show up with a truckload of dead shrimp. But
Ugh.
yeah, needless to say, I have a pretty good supplier, a couple of them, and they're usually almost on time every day. So I try not to run out, and then we open at 6 a.m. We close at 6 p.m. Every day, but Friday, Saturday we're open until 7.
All right. Well, let's talk about Yellow Dog charter fishing or your charter fishing business. If someone wants to book a trip with you, what do they do?
Look up Yellow Dog Fishing. It's DAWG, Yellow Dog Fishing .com. You can email us at Yellow Dog Fishing, again, DAWG, at Gmail, or you can give me a call. My phone number is 386-366-3424. Again, that's 386-366-3424, and I'll get you guys on the books.
Cool. I just want to make sure we got the phone number. And for people that are booking a trip with Yellow Dog Fishing, what can they expect over the next month? Will be more like permit mangrove, maybe luck into a tarpon here and there, or are you looking for that to be transitioning here in a little
So
bit?
I'm going to be switching to be focusing more on snook, because snook season opens September 1st. Tarpon will be still around. Like I said, when that mullet run starts, we'll probably really start focusing on the tarpon again, especially in the beginning of it. And then we're going into our big bull red season, and that's from middle of September all the way through about Thanksgiving. And uh, they'll work you.
Yeah,
Like,
they really will. What's bull red season look like down there? I know, closer to your home, we catch them in generally deeper water, like 20 to 30 feet of water. How do you guys catch them down there?
same, 15 to 30 feet of water, fishing outgoing tides at the inlet at the pass. And yeah, you just cruise around. It's not cheating, but it's definitely an advantage now with the side scan technology. You figure out where that school fish is. You set up ahead of them, maybe 30, 40, 50 yards. It's almost like trolling. We're dead sticking, either live mullet, live croakers, blue crab cut in half, or cut bait, and just
Yeah,
dropping back to them. And it's not uncommon to catch 12 fish over 40 pounds in a trip, sometimes even more. But most every fish is a trophy fish.
we got a potential customer for you here, Thrill of the Grill. I'm not sure if you know him, but it says, sounds good. I got your number saved, and definitely get on a charter for sure. Well, that's good stuff. Captain Jamie will definitely take care of you. I know you're busy, buddy, but when can someone, if they were to give you a call, a month out, month and a half?
So I still have some openings in September. Unfortunately, October is prime time, and that's kind of going to be off limits for me this year. I'm getting married October 8th, going on a
Congrats, my
honeymoon.
friend.
Thank you. We're going to Greece, and then get back for about a week, and I'll have a few spots like mid to late October, and then we go to Illinois hunting for the last week of October, and then also first week of November. So
Man, you should drop by Fish and Chesapeake with us.
yeah, man. I usually come up there around Thanksgiving time, so I'll be
Dude,
in
we're
touch.
here.
I got to
We're
plug
here.
my
We're,
phone
we're
in.
a little bit, we're not, you're from, you said
I'm from
Dundalk?
Dundalk, correct. Sorry, I'm plugging my phone in real quick. Hold on.
No worries.
Oh, so sorry. I thought I had enough battery.
No, that's all right. You're from
Yeah,
Dundalk. Yeah, that's probably that's like an hour from us. We're like 25 minutes south of Annapolis.
yeah. So I'm from Dundalk, but my family's all from the Eastern Shore, Tillman Island to be specific. So
Sweet.
yeah, yeah. Actually, my dad was a commercial crabberman. My brother actually still has our commercial license, but he's uh he's a duck hunting guide down like Cape Charles, Virginia area,
Oh,
and then
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
Cool. Well, we might actually reach out to you. We're doing kind of a bit of a historical piece on watermen, lighthouses, crabbing, on the Chesapeake. So it sounds like your family might be a good source for knowledge on that.
I'd love to give you guys some information. My family, we have a ton of boats down at the Maritime Museum in St. Michael's. My family's got quite a few boats in there. So
Cool. I'll just get rid of mine and start borrowing them.
all right, buddy.
Captain Jamie, thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for tuning in. I said you guys because I meant you and your dog. Guys, definitely give him a call. What's up, buddy? That's a cute dog. But we'll be on next month. Captain Jamie was a little bit flexible with us because Tom Weaver is actually fishing the White Marlin Open tonight and needed to switch from the 7 o'clock slot to Jamie's normal 8 o'clock slot. But we will be here next month. Thank you guys so much.
Have a great one.
Take care, Jamie.